My God, why have you forsaken me? I don't know about you, but that verse has bothered me my whole life. Crucifixion of Jesus. If I stop and think about it, I mean, really feel it, what the creator of the world went through, I can't help but cry. You're Jesus, and you're saying that God is forsaking you on the cross? What? I would read that verse and I would literally be like, okay, like, my God, why? He didn't mean that. I mean, he hasn't been forsaken. He's Jesus. It's fine. Let's just sugarcoat this and ignore that he said that. I don't want to deal with that. But you are on an exclusive clip from the Can I Trust the Bible channel. And I want to give you faith that yes, you can trust the Bible. That's why we're all here. But you run into verses like this and you think to yourself, if I start unpacking this, if I really focus on that verse, Jesus on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? I don't know where that's going to lead. And that's really uncomfortable. So for me, I just kind of brushed it aside for years and did some theological gymnastics, to be honest with you. Like, I have no idea actually what I was doing in those moments. All I knew is I had to get past that verse because it was uncomfortable. But then, as I started digging and as I was talking to a lot of people, rabbis and pastors, I'm like, dude, help me out. My God, why have you forsaken me? Someone pointed this out to me, and it just not only made that not hard to swallow, but it exploded. It illuminated what Jesus was doing in that moment. So my God, why have you forsaken me is the first line of Psalm 22. I'll read it. Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? Now, maybe, here's the thing, everyone around there, probably the teachers of the law and everything, the Pharisees, Sadducees, whoever it might be, when Jesus said that, it would have been like instantly, oh, he's quoting Psalm 22. It'd be like I would say, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Well, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator. You would fill in the blanks. So people knew Psalm 22. So what if when Jesus is being crucified, now I'm not taking away from the theological implications of, my God, why have you forsaken me? But what if he was quoting that to say, hey, whatever Psalm 22 is, I am the fulfillment of that. I am the guy that Psalm 22 speaks of. Now, when you actually read Psalm 22, it blew my mind. This was written probably 1,000 years before Jesus shows up on the scene. And I could read the whole thing, but I just want to skip ahead to verses 16, 17, and 18. Tell me if these verses sound just unbelievably familiar. Verse 16, dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircle me. Here it is. They pierce my hands and my feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. What if this isn't something that has to trip you up? What if Jesus is saying, yo, I'm the Messiah. I'm the Savior of the world. I'm what Psalm 22 has been speaking of. When you realize that, we quote it, right? Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. What if he actually is? What if everything in Ezekiel and Deuteronomy and Jeremiah and the Psalms was pointing to Yeshua of Nazareth? What if he's confirming to people in this moment of excruciating pain, I am that guy? Now we could quote Isaiah 53 and he's pierced for our transgressions, but I think what's important is when you stumble across a verse, seems out of place. It doesn't seem like it makes sense. What if there's more to it? And if you go to the bottom of Psalm 22, it says what this guy will do. And you think about it, the Jewish people are this little clan, this little tribe, this little nation, eventually in the Roman Empire. Or before that, these little clans surrounded by the Egyptians and the Assyrians and the Babylonians. They're the tiniest, smallest, no-name people group. And yet, this claim in Psalm 22 is made about their Messiah. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. That is one bold promise. And all the families of the nations will bow down before him, For dominion belongs to the Lord, and he rules over the nations. Skipping ahead, posterity will serve him. Future generations will be told about the Lord. They will proclaim his righteousness, declaring to a people yet unborn, he has done it.
Let me add something to that. The crucifixion of Jesus. And if I stop and think about it, I mean, really feel it, what the creator of the world went through. I can't help but cry. You know, in John chapter 19, it reads, "Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, 'Hail, King of the Jews!' And they slapped him in the face." This person that they're torturing breathed, and 2 trillion galaxies came into existence. And yet here he is, being mocked and humiliated. Why didn't he retaliate? I mean, he could have just pulled the escape hatch and walked out of there. Why didn't he? Hear me. Because he loves you. The creator of everything so sacrificially loves you that he wore our shame, he wore our disgrace, he wore our suffering. The reason I actually picked this verse in John is because of that fellow named in that verse, Mr. Pontius Pilate. Now, the skeptic could have said for hundreds of years, yeah, bruh, he's a made-up dude. He's a made-up villain. He's Voldemort. I mean, come on, prove to me archaeologically that this Pontius Pilate guy ever existed. And hear me out. In 1960, 1940, 1950, you couldn't. That person could not defend the existence of Pontius Pilate scientifically. It really was just a hope. But then in 1961, in a place on the coast of Israel called Caesarea, a place I've been to dozens of times, they found a stone, and on that stone was an inscription. Wouldn't you know, right there, as clear as day, it says, Pontius Pilatus. And in an instant, that whole story is validated. But, you know, sometimes, especially around this Holy Week part of the year, people want evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. And yes, there are extremely strong apologetics cases to be made. We'll even link to some of those conversations we've had with Sean McDowell and Michael Icona that can help you with that. But what I'm about to share is less about the head and more about the heart. This is the proof of the resurrection to me. Now, talking about Caesarea. In Caesarea, you will find a destroyed palace that Herod the Great lived in and built. And here's what's crazy, though. Later on, that same palace was the home of Pontius Pilate. Now, the Great Commission says, go and make disciples of all nations. Can you just sit for a second and think about how preposterous of a claim that was? Here's this guy who was crucified. His followers are some fishermen and tax collectors. And he's like, go make disciples of all nations? I mean, come on, that's impossible unless he is who he said he was. Now, Herod the Great, as you'll remember, tried to kill Jesus as a baby. Now, Pontius Pilate, you could say, was successful and actually did kill Jesus as an adult. Here's the amazing part. This palace, every time I used to lead trips to Israel, we'd have people from every corner of the nation, Nigerian, Indian, people from South America, from all over Europe, from Japanese, Korean. And here we are, every tribe, tongue, and nation, walking on the ruins of the palace of the person who tried and eventually did kill Jesus. The story should have ended with them. And yet here we are with the most tangible proof of the resurrection, that the entire world of Jesus followers is walking on the ruins of their palace. And every time I take groups there, it's one of those goosebump moments where you're like, wow, we are living in such miraculous prophetic times that we can see the fulfillment, the full circle of the Great Commission. And we can look at this palace and say, yo, Herod, Pilate, sorry, homies, you failed. And the proof are the people that we used to bring. And so to me, there are different kinds of apologetics. There's the scientific, there's the archaeological, but then there's also the like, wow, Our God is alive, our God is active, and he's doing something right now. So again, if you want more apologetics videos, please do subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload right here on YouTube. But we are always wanting to remove the boulders of doubt and skepticism from your faith, to realize that Yeshua of Nazareth, Jesus, is who he said he was. And the more that the skeptics and the naysayers like, nah, this doesn't happen, God's like, okay, watch this. And I think Caesarea and Pontius Pilate are a perfect example of that. So my friend, look me in the eyes. You can most certainly trust the Bible.